Out here today on Big Bear Lake catching some rainbow trout. Stick with us and see how we do. Got another one here at Big Bear. He's fighting. Catching them on slip bobbers today with worms, a piece of worm. That's a nice one. That's a big one, huh? Looks like a little salmon. Oh, it's pretty big. Yeah, that's a nice one. Let's get him in. There's a fish, another one, Big Bear. So on this video we're up at Big Bear Lake fishing for rainbow trout. We're using a slip bobber technique today, so I thought I'd show you how I set up my slip bobbers. There are various types of slip bobbers you can get, different sizes, made of different materials, usually balsa wood, which we're using today, a larger float. They have foam ones with a weight to sink the bobber to get it to stand upright. I'll tell you why I don't like that one, because usually you can tell if your line is tangled when you cast it out if it doesn't stand upright. But this one always stands upright, so you can't tell if it's tangled when you cast it out. Then there's these ones, Wing It, which is supposed to be aerodynamic, but they're lighter floats and they don't fly that well, so they actually aren't that great for what they're supposed to do from my use of them. And then they have smaller ones to use if you're a fisher, more finicky and not taking the bobber down that well. You can put on a smaller float, then you just need to remember to use a lighter weight. You'll also need a bobber stop, barrel swivels, some type of weight, usually a split shot weight or a sliding sinker, and then some type of hook. So I use a octopus circle hook by Gamakatsu, size 4, or I also like these ones when using worms for trout. They seem to hook up well. Eagle Claw, laser sharp, Kali hook, K-A-H-L-E, in size 4 as well. I'll show you those close up. And then any type of fishing line, usually 4 to 6 pound test when we're fishing on the main line, and then on the tippet, usually just 4 pound test. So let me show you how those are put together. First you get your bobber stop. These are pre-made at Bass Pro Shop. And you grab your line, take the end of the line, slide it through the little metal ring on here, and then you slide your bobber stop off onto the end, and it ends up on the fishing line like that, you can see. So you just slide it up the line to the desired depth. You can take your bobber on the other side of the line and thread it through the bobber from the top down. Just kind of twist it through until it comes out the other side. Once it comes out the other side, you'll see that why it's called the bobber stop. The bobber can slide up the line until it gets to that bobber stop and then it stops. Next thing you want to do is slide on your weight. Slide the weight on. That can also slide up to the bobber. So now you have your bobber stop, your bobber, and your weight. Then you'll tie on your barrel swivel, which I use tri-line knot. Just go through twice. Go around the line about 4 or 5 times, and then back through the 2 loops that you've created when you went through the barrel swivel. Grab that end, and usually you should make your knots a little wet. So wet it with your mouth, pull it tight. You can cut off the tag end later. Then you grab another short piece of line, like this will be your 4 pound piece of line that you'll have for your leader. I like to use Berkeley Vanish, 4 pound Berkeley Vanish. It's pretty strong and the visibility is pretty low. So now you have your bobber stop, bobber, weight, and a swivel. Usually about 12 to 15 inch piece of line. This is a lot shorter, and you tie your hook to the end of that. Once you got your hook on there, then you I'll show you how I like to thread my earthworms on. This is just a fake worm, of course. I break the worm in half, so I have about 1.5 inches of worm, and then I just thread it onto the hook. Okay, thread it on just like a plastic. So then it's kind of looks like that. The worm will be all over covering the whole hook on the way up, and then the point will be sticking out at the bottom. Okay, so we have the whole rig put together now. We have our bobber stop on top, slip bobber, weight, barrel swivel, and hook with bait. So what will happen is when it's on your rod and you go to cast, the bobber will slip right down to the weight and the barrel swivel. You'll cast that whole thing out, and then what happens is, imagine that my hand is the water, right? the bobber will land on the water and be floating like this. As the weight drops down, it'll drop down, and then we'll pull the bobber up like that when it hits the bobber. So then you know it's not tangled. When the weight hits the depth that the bobber stop is at, then the bobber will stand up and stand like that. When it goes down, you got a fish. Works fairly well. If it does stay laying down, sometimes what happens is the weight, and hook gets tangled, and it'll keep the float sitting down. The bobber won't travel up the line to the bobber stop, so then you should reel it in and check it. Otherwise, it usually is set right and can get to whatever preferred depth you get. Works great when you're fishing over a deeper portion of water from shore or from the boat and you're fishing for suspended fish. I usually like to use anywhere from 8 to 15 feet depth when I'm fishing below a slip bobber in the winter time, and in the summertime usually about 20 to 25 feet, which works better because of the oxygen level. So give it a try and see how it works for you, and I'm sure you'll catch some fish. Good luck out there.
Look at the nice colored purple. Like a pink purple. Boom. Silver.
Yeah. Yeah, just very close right here. Right where yours is. That's a nice one. This one height is lower, I like yours. I might like that. So I got the fifth and final fish here. Caught a big bear. Doing pretty well in the slip bobbers today. Another nice rainbow trout. Wasn't it a nice one? And these nice colors. I looked over and my bobber was gone. Another nice rainbow trout.